How we doing there? Mr. Carter here, ready to do home link for 8, which involves number stories. So, and multi-step number stories, because it's going to take a couple of steps or more to figure out these problems. So, Mr. Russo is buying equipment for his baseball team. So use this table here to the right to answer questions about his purchases. So let's just go over the table here real quickly. So he's got, for every wooden bat, for one of them it's $49. For a metal bat, it's $74. For one glove, it's $35. And for a helmet, it is $22. So if we look at number 1, Mr. Russo needs 9 helmets and 8 gloves. How much will they cost in all? So I'm seeing the words in all. That's a clue that we're going to be adding. So I went ahead and put this on another sheet of paper so I could spread out and do the math. Give me enough room to do the math, and I suggest you do the same. Get a separate paper so you can work this out. So he wanted 9 helmets that cost $22 a piece. We're going to add that to 8 gloves at $35 a piece. So 9 helmets at $22 each, you're going to go 9 times 22 to figure that out. And 8 gloves times 35 is 8 times 35. So down here I went ahead and made my partitioned rectangles. So we're going to do 9 times 22 first. So 9 times 22, I just went ahead and put the 9 here on the side, broke apart the 20 into 20 and 2. 9 times 2 is 18, and you add your 0 for your extended fact for 180, and 9 times 2 is 18. So if I add those together, 180 plus 18, I'm going to get 198. So 9 times 22 is 198. 80 times 35. So again, I went and made my rectangle, put the 8 on the side, broke apart my 35 into 30 and 5. 8 times 30 is 8 times 3 is 24. Extended factor would be 0. 5 times 8 is 40. So I'm going to add 240 plus 40, and I can do that quickly in my head. That's 280. So 8 times 35 equals 280. So now we know that 9 helmets at $22 a piece cost $198. 8 gloves at $35 a piece cost $280. So we wanted to know how much these two items cost altogether. So we're going to add that. So 8 plus 0 is 8. 9 plus 8 is 17. Carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 4. And we can't forget that these are dollars we're dealing with, so it's $478 is our answer. So we'll go ahead and transfer that here. 478. Okay, let's look at number 2. Mr. Russo wants to buy 6 bats for his team. Now, how much more would it cost him to buy 6 metal bats versus 6 wooden bats? So he's got a couple choices here for bats. He's like, wooden bats or metal bats? And I'm looking at the metal bats. They cost a little bit more, $74 a piece versus $49 a piece. So we know that to get metal bats going to be a little bit more. So he's trying to figure out how much money he's going to save if he buys wooden bats. So again, I went ahead and put my work on a separate paper. All right, so since I know the metal bats cost more, I'm going to be putting that on top because I'm going to be taking away the lesser value, which is the 6 wooden bats at $49 a piece. So we're going to go the cost of the metal bats, take away the cost of the wooden bats to find how much money he's going to save by buying the wooden bats. So again, 6 metal bats at $74 a piece. That's 6 times 24. 6 wooden bats at $49 a piece would be 6 times 49. So I'm going to use partitioned rectangles again. So 6 times 74, you break apart the 70 and the 4. 6 times 7 is 42. You put your extended fact here, make it a 0. 4 times 6 is 24. So we're going to go ahead and add those together. 420 plus 24, making sure I'm lining up my numbers correctly. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. And another 4 again. So it's $444 to buy metal bats. So 6 times 74, as I did down here, is $444. Okay. Now we're going to figure out the cost of our wooden bats, and that's 6 times 49. So 6 times 49, so again I go 6 and break apart the 40 and 9. 6 times 4 is 24, and you put your 0 here because it's an extended fact. 9 times 6 is 54. So again, I'm going to add those up. 240 plus 54, making sure I'm lining up my numbers correctly. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. And bring down the 2. So we know it's going to cost us $294 for the wooden bats. Because 6 times 49 is 294. Now, like we said before, we're going to have to subtract how much the metal bats cost from the wooden bats cost, because that's going to give us how much he's saving. So 4 take away 4 is 0. 4 take away 9, we're not able to do that, so we're going to have to trade from our hundreds place. So that becomes 3. We're going to add 10 tens here to the 4 we already have. 14. 14 take away 9 is 5. 3 take away 2 is 1. So he would save $150 by buying the wooden bats. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer my answer here. It's $150. Alright, question 3. I think I have enough room here to do my math, so I'm going to go ahead and do that on this page here. So Mr. Russo buys 5 wooden bats, and he gives the cashier $300. How much change does he get? So again, if we look up at our chart, he's buying 5 wooden bats. A wooden bat costs $49 a piece. So we're going to go 5 times 49. So if we do our rectangles again, if you like to do that. So we're going to put 5 here, break apart our 40 into 40 and 9. 5 times 4 is 20, add the 0. And 9 times 5 is 45. So we're going to add these two. I can do that in my head. That would be $245 for 5 wooden bats. So now, Mr. Russo gave the cashier $300. So he needs to figure out how much change he's going to get if it costs $245. So we're going to take the $300 that he spent, or that he gave the cashier. We're going to subtract it from what the cost of the merchandise is. So that's $245, and we're going to subtract to figure out what his change is. Well, 0 take away 5, we cannot do that. So we've got to trade. We don't have anything to trade here from the tens, so we're going to have to go all the way to the hundreds to do the trading. So we're going to trade that to make this a 2. So now we have 10 tens, but we need to trade one of those tens to the 1. So that 10 is going to be now 9. This will become 10. 10 take away 5 is 5. 9 take away 4 is 5 also. And 2 take away 2 is 0. We usually don't put a 0 in front there. So he's going to get $55 back in change. Now we're going to need to use this answer here, $55, to answer question 4. So that cashier that gave $55 back to Mr. Russo, he only has $10 bills and $1 bills. So what are 2 ways he could make Mr. Russo's change? Well, I'm thinking one way would be 5 $10 bills and 5 $1 bills. Okay, so that would be 5 $10 bills and 5 $1 bills. That's one way he could do it. I'll be interested to see what else he can come up with. there are many different ways, so that's just one of the ways. Okay, so let's go down here and look at our factors. So I'm going to do 5 and 6 for you, and I want you to try 7 and 8 on your own. So factors, again, are two numbers that when you multiply, the product is that number. So one factor pair is always going to be 1 in itself. So that's going to be 1 in 21. And then our second factor pair, well, we go, does 2 go into 21? No. Does 3 go? Yeah. So it's 3 and 7. And tonight, our homework here has 4 lines, so that tells us how many factors there are. So that saves us a little bit of time because now I know that there are no more factors for 21. For 40, there are a few more factors, as you can tell, because there's several lines here. So we always start with 1 in itself. So 1 and itself would be 40, 1 and 40. Since 40 is an even number, I know that 2 is going to be a factor. It's because you can split 40 in half. When you split 40 in half, you get 20. 3 does not go into 40, so we're going to move on to our next number, which would be 4. And yeah, 4 would go into 40 10 times. So 4 times 10 is also a factor pair. And I'm going to go on to my next number, which is 5. And I know that 5 is a factor of 40 because it ends with a 0. And any number that ends with 0 or 5 is going to be have 5 as a factor. And 5 times 8 is a factor of factors of 40. All right, so go ahead and do 7 and 8 on your own. See how you do with those. If you have questions, please come and see me, and I'll talk to you later.